Hey everybody, welcome to our presentation on the Great Flood of '08, specified to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and the surrounding area, made by myself, Logan Fluhop, and Aiden Kinnear. So let's set the scene. You're an elementary school kid, coming home from your last day of school for the week. This winter was incredibly snowy, and your parents seem less concerned about playing in the backyard and more about filling the bathtub with drinkable water. Rumor has it a huge rainstorm's on the way, and your home is smack dab in the middle of a path. They seem really worried, but at the same time, they insist everything's gonna be fine. Little did you know, this is going to be the worst flood to hit Iowa since 1993. That night, record flooding hits the city of Cedar Rapids, as well as Iowa City and the surrounding area. Your family panics as the radio announces that bridges over the Cedar River have collapsed, and feet of water have been reported flooding into the city. Water starts seeping past your doorstep and into your home as your family scrambles to collect any precious items from the ground floor and the basement. Photos, trophies, and other memorabilia are bagged and quickly moved upstairs as the trickle becomes a deluge, flooding into the basement. You all quickly retreat upstairs and huddle around the radio for more information. "This is only the beginning, folks. Stay safe out there," says Joe Winters, the meteorologist for KCRG, your local news station. Now, I have prepared a quick little model in cities' skylines. We will unpause it. So, this is Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Around right here is the Veterans Memorial that we will be looking at later, alongside this being the St. Luke's Hospital. Obviously, this is not to scale. All of these bridges just barely didn't flood. They're just really low in the simulation. However, there was a bridge right here for railroads that did collapse during the flood. And we will see photos of that later. But as you can see, the basic flood walls and embankments were very quickly run over, and water flooded down into the streets, running up towards the hospital. Everywhere was absolutely devastated. And Mays Island definitely was hit one of the worst. Now let's switch back to our presentation. Alright, let's look over some of the facts. So the winter leading up to the flood of 2008 was really snowy and had the ground saturated at 125% in certain places. Record snow melt record snow melt led to record river levels that year, and 3 thunderstorms that passed through the area did not help. The straw that broke the camel's back was the release of the dam in the Cedar River, which was on purpose. The reservoir was actually filling with a ridiculous amount of water, and the engineers made the decision to release it. Otherwise, the dam itself was going to suffer structural damage, and it would have created a massive wave downstream that would have caused a lot more damage than just releasing it initially. Ultimately, they made the decision, let the water go, and a 32.12 foot flood caused millions of dollars in damage. So right here, this is the St. Luke's Hospital I was talking about. That little bridge is part of it for pedestrians. As you can see, they've closed off the roads. You can see a news crew down to the bottom right and an ambulance on the left. Next up, we have the Veterans Memorial, which is that building off to the right with the massive golden statue on the top. The river is actually off to the right of the screen, which just shows you how far this reached. This is blocks away. And Alliant Energy, that massive building back there, almost the entire first level was ruined. So in that center section with the 3 bridges, you can see Mays Island. That's where a lot of the biggest government attraction buildings were, alongside off to the right you can see the railroad that I told you had collapsed down off to the bottom right as well. So let's head back to our story. That morning, your family evacuates further inland. You were one of the 10,000 residents displaced. You hear reports of 6 foot high water flooding homes. Some of your friends have lost their houses, their schools, everything. You hear about the Children's Science Center engulfed in 12-foot high water. Your favorite spot by the waterfront? 15 feet underwater. The city has mostly lost power as Alliance main building has flooded, leaving people stranded without power. But everyone seems glad to help each other. Your neighbor offers you canned food, you help them clear debris from their yard, the world keeps turning, Cedar Rapids rebuilds. To this day, I actually still see some of the construction efforts repairing the flood damage. Plaques depicting the flood height litter the city like stop signs, marking just how high those waters got. I actually visited the Department of Education about 2 years ago, and they have a plaque that is 6 foot 8 inches, which is a solid half a foot taller than me. It really puts into perspective how high the water got, and it's kind of scary knowing that if I was standing there in 2008, I would be drowning. But the photos and memories, they'll always be there. My grandma has a book of photos that we took around the time of the flood. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to photocopy them in time to get them into the slideshow, but they're up here in my mind. I'll see if I can get them alongside after this project. If any of you are interested in looking at them, just contact me. But yeah, so moving on. Some of the statistics. Cedar Rapids has its own website on the flood, and they said that it impacted 7.2K parcels of land, 3.4 thousand homes, dislocated more than 18,000 residents, and damaged 310 city facilities. This was the 6th largest project covered by FEMA and required an estimated $848 million in financial public assistance. That is a lot of money. The flood damaged many public buildings and infrastructure, and cities left in the wake of the flood are still recovering. So let's talk about the plans they've made for the future. A lot of towns in Iowa, including mainly Iowa City and Cedar Rapids, they're constructing flood walls, not just along the embankments of the river, but alongside large buildings that are flood prone. As you can see in the top right, those little walls, just beyond those is a drop down to a staircase. So those are all there so that there is no need for sandbags. That protection is just built into the building. That way, if any of the flooding comes back down into the city, they'll be ready. So a lot of other laws were put into place, such as a very interesting one. Anyone within 500 feet of flood zones that has limited mobility cannot live there. You need to be over 500 feet of a floodable area if you have limited mobility. That way you can get out of your home in time if flash flooding becomes an issue. Cedar Rapids also bought land from people living in flood-prone areas if they didn't want to live there anymore, which is an understandable thing. And they created a lot of cheap housing for people in low-income areas, like where I used to live. And here is our sources.